What's going on, everybody? My name is J.C.Albaugh. I was a Navy corpsman, and I'm here to talk to you about my time at boot camp, A-School, and FMTB. If you missed the last one, the link is in the description to watch the first episode, and this is the second. I also have plenty of memorabilia and a really cool book that you guys should take a look at. Link is in the description. Anyways, let's get back to the video. Picking up where I left off, I entered the Navy February 7th, 2017. After coming from VMI and even from Civil Air Patrol, Navy boot camp is extremely easy. I've worked with people in the Air Force during A-School. They were talking to me about their time in their boot camp, and it seems to be a lot tougher than Navy boot camp. So if you guys are going to Navy boot camp, don't stress. My best piece of advice is to pay attention to detail, absolutely. Just do what you're told, and then you'll be fine for 8 weeks. So I got there as a winter class, and trust me, it was cold. I remember spending a lot of the time indoors, and I spent a lot of time wasting away. They do not PT you a lot, and that's why people who do special warfare in the Navy have their own divisions, what are the 800 divisions. Even though I was trying to apply for SARC, I still had to go with the regular boot camp. So in the meantime, PT consisted of maybe 15 to 30 minutes a day, if that, doing push-ups and these like little arm circles. But anyways, things to look out for: orange cards. If I still remember, they're called orange cards. If you get in trouble, our RDCs, or the recruit division commanders, will pull those orange cards on you, and you're supposed to do a list of exercises. It protects you from getting hazed too much, but they're still allowed to do those exercises, and it allows more instructive training to be dealt with by RDCs. I wouldn't worry too much about that. I never got orange carded. I did get my ass chewed out once though. That's the story for a different time. Boot camp is an easy 8 weeks. Do what you're told. You're gonna march. You're gonna do some fun stuff. Shipboard drills and firefighting. If our class, the firefighting thing wasn't active, so we just did a PowerPoint and a video, if I remember correctly. You'll learn a lot of shipboard damage control there and make a good group of friends along the way, and that's what matters. So at the end of the 8 weeks, you get your Navy ball cap, you do your little marching parade, your parents are there. I remember it was a good time. I was able to have my dad in his full commander uniform being there, and it was a sense of pride, especially coming from getting out of Virginia Military Institute and getting back on my masculine purpose. Unlike Marines or even Army, I think, you don't have mandatory leave. You go straight to your A-School. And so the Corpsman's A-School is in San Antonio, Texas. We flew, we got our stuff situated the week before. You get your life skills and stuff like that. Those trainings are complete garbage, but at the end you go into your classroom setting. One thing to note is my class was one of the last classes to have the old curriculum, and our old curriculum was about half of it was dedicated to emergency medical technician procedures and algorithms. You learn your sample, your OPQRST. You get hands-on training with defibrillators and CPR, oxygen resuscitation, and that's a good time. And then the second half was dedicated to basic nursing procedures and that hospital side area of expertise, but that's where you do your IVs and blood draws, and you learn a little bit about the sick call procedures. Looking back, I wish they went on it more because that was a big part of my job going into the fleet, but I know that they changed it, so hopefully everything kind of works out on its own. Another thing, as I said before, we used to work with the Air Force med techs. We would work on the EMT portion together, but the difference was they actually got their EMT registration and the Navy corpsmen had to go kick rocks. But it's whatever. Who needs a job? Or certifications? Another difference was that those who wanted to become SARCs or SAR or DMTs, we didn't have the prep program up. It closed down and we kind of had to fend for ourselves. But now you can actually get the HMATF contract, and you'll go to A-School with that contract with a shot at going into any one of those three. You may or may not get your specific job depending on availability of the job, but you will have at least a shot of going and having a spot secured for you to go to whatever follow-on schools are for your special operations corpsman contract, otherwise known as Advanced Technical Field. Going back to life at A-School, it's a lot nicer. It's especially a lot nicer than VMI. You have more freedom in A-School than you did in boot camp, but the freedom is given in increments. So you'll start off phase 1, you'll have to wear your uniforms everywhere you go. You won't have access to off-base. TAPS, or the time you have to be back in your bed, is earlier than usual. But then once you go to phase 2, that's after you pass a certain amount of tests. You'll have the ability to go off base, but you can't stay overnight or anything like that. But then once you go to phase 3, you get access to off base. You can spend the night overnight, at least when it's not a school night or when you don't have duty the next day or you don't have duty the same day. So it becomes a lot more relaxed and actually a lot of fun when you go to San Antonio. My best recommendation for San Antonio is to just try the Riverwalk. There's a lot to explore, and I know that gets kind of cliche, but I was always finding new things to do there, and it was just a good time. The next thing, and the one I've been getting a few questions on in my earlier videos, is how do you pick orders and how do you go to Greenside? So it is kind of a mixed bag because it's a military. You're never guaranteed anything unless it's written in paper. For reservists, they actually have a guaranteed contract to go FMF. So as soon as you're done with A-School, you will go to FMTB. The drawback is you're going to be a reservist. So take that as you will. Towards the end of your classes, you will get a chance to say whether or not you want to try out for a technical field. And when I mean technical field, I mean pharmacy or x-ray, lab. Sometimes you're going to be voluntold to go to those. I remember I had a friend who got voluntold, even though he was a diehard ready to go to the Marines. He got voluntold to do lab. You just got to do the best you can with what you have. Or if you're lucky enough to not get voluntold to do something, you'll be shown on screen, on a big screen that you can't read, how many orders that are available to you when you get out of corpsman school. So I remember all those orders, a lot of them were hospitals, a lot of them were big hospitals, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go SARC, but my backup plan was to keep on the green side and at least go to FMTB along the way. And I remember there were only 2 different orders for green side. One of them was 3rd Med Battalion, and thank God I didn't choose that. And the other one was 3rd Marine Logistics Group. None of them were division. None of them were even air wing at that point. But I took what I could get. I chose the orders to go to 3rd MLG in Okinawa, Japan. I thought that was cool, but as long as I got the shot to go to FMTB and try out to be a SARC, I was going to be cool. And then once you graduate, you'll go to your duty station. Sometimes, if you're like me, and extra paperwork has to be done, especially if you're going overseas, or you're supposed to be going overseas, you need that overseas paperwork. Such was the case for me going to Okinawa. They will keep you on base at San Antonio for a while, and I remember I spent about a month in San Antonio, not really doing anything, standing a whole lot of watch, but honestly, it was a lot more relaxing. Nobody was on your ass to wake up. You were pretty much left alone. You could go to the gym if you wanted. You had a few formations, but it was pretty relaxing, being completely honest. After the paperwork was done and I was allowed to leave San Antonio, I took a little bit of leave, and then after that, I headed down to Camp Pendleton. I got there in September. We weren't classing up until October. So what they have you do is they have all the corpsmen spend about a month at the Camp Pendleton Hospital doing basic hospital stuff. For me, I was at occupational therapy, and I did my best, and I got the job done, and explored a little bit of San Diego and stuff like that, and had a lot of fun. After that month, we headed to FMTB. So, FMTB, to recap, FMTB stands for Field Medical Training Battalion. That's where every Blue Side or Quad Zero corpsman goes to learn how to become it was an 8404 back in the day, but now it's a what is it called?
Few moments later.
So the rating used to be called 8404, but now it's called L03 Alpha. But that's a field medical service technician. They are able to provide expeditionary medicine for the Marines. What the school involves is a lot of tactical combat casualty care, is the algorithm that we use to treat the patient, prevent any additional casualties, and complete the mission in a combat environment. We were also involved in learning the culture of the Marine Corps. And you'll take tests about both the Marines and a little bit of the tactics, very, very minute, and a lot about field medicine. And field medicine is a lot different than hospital medicine, but in my experience and in my opinion, field medicine is where it's at. When it comes to learning about the culture of the Marines, the pressure is on a little bit more. And you're going to get treated a little bit like a Marine boot. But for a 19-year-old E2 going into E3, I had the time of my life. Now, there were a lot of E6s and even chiefs that had to go and do this, and I felt sorry for them because the instructors and the cadre were law. It didn't really matter what your rank was because you're still going to get treated on the same level as a basic Marine coming out of SOI. That's the explanation that the cadre were kind of given. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't still liberty on the weekends. There wasn't any overnight liberty, and there was still a progressive amount of freedoms given to you throughout the course of the class. So when you begin, you're still gotta wear the uniform, but as you kind of go on through the course, you will get a little bit more freedom. Things to look out for, my best piece of advice is to stay in shape, get used to rucking, and get used to doing PT with boots on. There's 4 hikes, a 3, a 6, an 8, and a 12 mile. Then there's a CFT and a PFT that you have to take. And you still have to pass. And these are Marine Corps standards. Being 19, 20-year-old me, I had no problem getting to the front and having a great time with it. You will spend a couple days in the field, and if you like the field, you're gonna have a great time. If you don't, sucks to be you, but it was a great experience overall. Anyways, thank you for watching. This is where I'll end off. The next episode is going to be about me entering the fleet for the first time and the growing pains that went with it. If you like this video, please subscribe to this channel and comment down below any questions that you have about being a corpsman. I'll try to cover that in the upcoming videos. For love of all that is good and a God-given duty to protect it. I'll see you guys in the next one.